right. Welcome back, everybody, to Altcoin Daily, where you subscribe for our daily videos, keeping you informed on everything going on with Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, this whole market. This is what I want to focus on today. This is a chart. Maybe you've seen it before, but you've never seen it like this. So first of all, often on this channel, I like to go over with you why I think Bitcoin is a good investment. So if I had to give my quick elevator pitch as to why Bitcoin is a good investment, I'd say Bitcoin is a permissionless, decentralized money and payment network. It is unconfiscatable. It's unprintable. It cannot be stopped or shut down because there is no single point of failure to attack. That's interesting. And as time goes by, as the network and the value grows and gets stronger, that's a good investment in my eyes. But anyways, there's a lot of reasons why we talk about Bitcoin being a good investment. Today, I want to focus on one. Today, I want to focus on one aspect. I want to focus on the nature of Bitcoin's unprintability and basically its stock to flow ratio, which we went over before, and how we can use this to speculate on the price of Bitcoin in the future. So Bitcoin is deflationary, as in the flow of new coins being created is going down. There were, per block, there used to be 50 coins mined, then 25 coins mined per block. It's going to go down to, it's 12.5 and then 6.25. Eventually, Bitcoin being mined is going to be just fractions and fractions, and this is going to go on for over 100 years before eventually we mine 21 million Bitcoins. And that's it. 21 million Bitcoins. That's it. That's the only amount of Bitcoins that will ever be created. And that's interesting how scarce Bitcoin is. So since we know exactly when and how these Bitcoins will be created, we can more accurately speculate on the future price, which is interesting. And this is the same type of model you can use for gold or silver. Based on its stock to flow ratio, you can figure out maybe what a more fair value of that asset will be. So this is a pretty beneficial thing. Anyway, so this is the chart you need to see. This is the chart right here. I'm going to break this down. I want to explain this to you. And I want you to notice right off the bat how closely, this is what's the most interesting to me. Bitcoin's been around for 10 years. I want you to notice right off the bat how close the price of Bitcoin has correlated with the stock to flow ratio in Bitcoin's 10 years. For instance, in May of 2015, Bitcoin's stock to flow ratio was just over $400. Its price was $230, but you can see that eventually this went back up and met its stock to flow ratio. Or how about right here in the peak, December 2017, Bitcoin's stock to flow ratio was $3,800. Well, its price was $13,000, and eventually we corrected back down. Today, Bitcoin's price is about $8,450. This isn't updated by the second or anything, but its stock to flow ratio is 5,700. Anyway, before we get into this, let's actually define what stock to flow ratio is. And yes, I've went over this with you before, but I think this is something we all need to figure out to truly see how in the future Bitcoin's going to be worth a lot more. Okay, so start from the beginning. Bitcoin is the first scarce digital object the world has ever seen. It's scarce like silver, it's scarce like gold, and surely digital scarcity has value. Well, how much value? In this article, with this chart, I want to quantify scarcity using a stock to flow. So I want to only give you the most important stuff. Scarcity can be quantified by SF. SF equals stock over flow. Stock is the size of the existing stockpile or reserves, and flow is the yearly production. So for instance, you can figure this out with any commodity, any asset. Gold has the highest SF at 62, as in it takes 62 years of production to get the current gold stock. Silver A little bit less scarce, silver is the second with a stock to flow ratio of 22. This high SF makes them monetary goods. So right now, Bitcoin currently has a stock of 17.5 and a supply of 0.7. Bitcoin's stock to flow ratio is 25, so very close to silver, which is 22. Well, after the next halving, that's going to change, and Bitcoin is going to be more scarce than gold. Take a look at this. So, according to stock to flow, and again, the price never stays exactly with the stock to flow. It'll go up sometimes, it'll go down sometimes, but what's interesting is you can see even if Bitcoin's stock to flow ratio was $137, its actual price at the time is $1,220. It was way off, but because Bitcoin, its flow is becoming more scarce every year, every day, eventually that didn't matter much, because you can see, even though somebody paid $1,200 for Bitcoin back then, eventually, hey, that's a low price compared to what it is today. So just for instance, and this is interesting, at the end of 2019, Bitcoin's stock to flow ratio or price is valued at just over $7,000. After the halving, that price is $60,000. Then after the next halving, that price is over $500,000 in 2024. That's very interesting to me, especially considering how technology is developing, how we're seeing more awareness, more interest from not only retail investors, people like you and me, but also institutions. We know the Lightning Network is coming up. We know Bitcoin's becoming more user-friendly, easier to use. So it's going to be more accessible in 2024, except in 2024, it's going to be hard to get your hands on it because the flow of Bitcoin is going to be so diminished. So according to stock to flow model price, one Bitcoin in 2024 should be worth over $500,000. And it's interesting how closely Bitcoin's price has followed that. This is how I think the future is going to look. So I think Bitcoin's going to keep growing in value because people, and especially rich people, are going to want to park their money in something that retains value. And even something that better than something that retains value is something that increases in value, and something that is impossible to devalue, something that cannot be more, something that is scarce, and something that cannot be devalued by somebody printing more. And that's Bitcoin right now. So you can park your wealth in many different assets today. You can park your wealth in stocks, bonds, commodities. Oftentimes rich people try and buy real estate or commodities or stocks because they want their money to retain value, because they know if they keep it in their savings account in the bank, our money loses value over time. Now, not a lot of people are parking their money in Bitcoin today. Some people are, but not a lot. I think that's going to grow because, and people are realizing this more and more, Bitcoin has been the best asset to invest in the last 10 years. It has outperformed the stocks. It has outperformed bonds, commodities, the S&P. I mean, you can look back on the charts and just see this immense growth. I mean, even Berkshire Hathaway's investments, even Warren Buffett's company, which is known to be great at investing money, Bitcoin has dwarfed Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway return on investments. So more and more people, I think, are going to choose Bitcoin as they realize that Bitcoin is one of the best ways to retain as much of their wealth as possible. And as more people choose to park their money in Bitcoin, as more people choose to put maybe 1%, 2%, 5% of their wealth, it really depends on the person, it will continue to increase in value. Bitcoin will continue to increase in value. As Bitcoin's value increases, guess what? The network effect becomes stronger. The hash power will become greater. The flow of the supply will continue to decrease, and that means the price continues to rise. Guys, the fact is, it wasn't until this point right here, it wasn't until 2017 that Bitcoin was finally put on the world's stage. And as I've said before, I don't need to keep telling you this, but I think this is going to be what happens. Bitcoin was first put on the world stage right here, and a lot of people think Bitcoin has died. When Bitcoin hits $20,000 again, when everybody is back in profit again, it will be on the world's stage again, except instead of people asking, why is Bitcoin going to fail? They're going to ask, why is Bitcoin still here? And they're going to look back in the history. They're going to finally, maybe the media will start reporting this. And in my opinion, one of the strongest reasons why Bitcoin is a good investment today is because, as I said, it has no single point of failure. It's probably not going to die. And as more and more people are looking to put their money in something that's going to grow, and as the flow gets decreased, guys, we're so early on. There's going to come a time when people just grow up with Bitcoin and know that that's just like real estate or stocks or bonds. Yeah, you can put money in Bitcoin. A lot of people do, a lot of people with wealth. We're early, in my opinion. And like I said, if you can wait, where is this date? Until July 2020, if you can wait about a year, Bitcoin stock to flow price model has Bitcoin at about $60,000 for one Bitcoin. Could you wait for 1 year? Could you wait for 5 or 6 years when that puts one Bitcoin at over $500,000? Now, this chart is going to keep going. Bitcoin's not going to be fully mined until over 100 years from now. And there's going to be a long stretch of time where miners, instead of mining many Bitcoins like they do today, they're going to mine fractions and very minuscule fractions of Bitcoin. And they're going to look back and say, I wish I could have bought a Bitcoin back here, just like we do today. And then eventually, all the Bitcoin will be mined, and the only way to earn Bitcoin in the future will be working. Just like you have to do now. You work for money that you earn right now, and that's how you're going to, once Bitcoin is fully mined, that's how people are going to earn Bitcoin in the future. All right, that's it for the video today, guys. I specifically wanted to go over stock to flow, because you can use this with silver, you can use this with gold, and you can see this with Bitcoin, how the price since the early days has always been very closely correlated to stock to flow. So this is a strong reason, its unprintability, why I think Bitcoin will be successful in the future.